Alright, so today I'm going to teach you guys how to deal with conflict in the workplace. My topic is dealing with conflict in the workplace. So we'll go to the next slide. So our agenda for today is I'm going to try and explain to you guys what conflict is, the effects of conflict, teamwork versus conflict, and how to eventually resolve conflict. So I have a little scenario for you guys. That way you guys can start thinking about this, because eventually we'll do a little group session where we'll talk about it, and then you guys will come up with answers and I'll jot them down. So the scenario. Recently you and 3 or 4 other members of your group have been increasingly aware of a person's disagreements and unspoken resentment among people with whom you work. So this is no official procedure to handle such problems, and you realize that not only is productivity suffering, but that everyone appears to be unhappy in general. With the declining work conditions these problems have created. You feel the same way, and you would like to do something to improve the situation. Consider the facts of that these 3 or 4 other individuals are also aware of the problem. What can you do? So, first slide. What is conflict? Conflict is a serious disagreement or argument, typically protracted by one. Webster Dictionary. Alright. Yeah, alright, so conflict styles. So these are certain ways that you guys can eventually, I guess, solve, or how you guys would deal with conflict. So there's a win-win situation, which is good for both parties, because both parties kind of get what they want. They don't fully get what they want. It's kind of compromising. Number 2 is collaborating, joining with each other and getting each other's ideas in order to come up with a solution. Number 3 is avoiding. That's just totally going away from the problem and not solving it. And for me personally, that's the worst way to do it, because it allows tension to build up, and it ends up allowing other people to have just random outbursts for very little reason. So I have a little video for you guys. It's from The Office, and we'll watch it, right? You have volume?
Okay, well, before we get started, you should know that there are 5 different styles of conflict. My shouting Templar style defeats your monkey style.
Here we go. I have a lot of work to do.
This is important. Okay, first style is lose-lose. What's the next one? Just hold on, please. Okay, if we do lose-lose, neither of you gets what you want. Do you understand? You would both lose. Now I need to ask you, do you want to pursue a lose-lose negotiation?
Can we just skip to whatever number 5 is, win-win or whatever?
Win-win is number 4, and number 5 is win-win-win. The important difference here is with win-win-win, we all win. Me too. I win for having successfully mediated a conflict at work. Okay,
So that little video talks about the conflict resolutions and the types of ways that you guys can handle conflict. I was talking about win-win situation, compromising, collaborating, avoiding. So, effects of conflict. So the reason why I feel like there's a lot of conflict in the workplace is because in a group, when you guys are partnered up, you guys usually don't get to pick who you're partnered up, especially in the workplace. You guys are grouped up with random people in your area, and if not that, then just your boss picks people who they think that fits the position correctly and allows the team to succeed based on their resume and based on what they have already done. So one of the effects is, what I have down is, with so many different perspectives in a group, people are bound to have problems. So with so many different minds coming in together, they're not all going to think the same way, and you guys aren't going to have the same solutions for things. So sometimes if one of your group members has this idea and you have this idea, and your ideas are totally different, and you guys just outspeak each other, that starts something called a clash, which is when you guys argue with each other. And when you guys argue with each other, it eventually leads to conflict. So, teamwork versus conflict. So, I'll go with teamwork first. So, teamwork builds cohesiveness. It also creates trust. And in the sense that it creates trust, what I'm trying to say is if you guys have a very good team together, built together, and you guys are all open-minded and are okay with listening to each other's ideas, this allows you guys to build trust because you know that they're just not going to put down your whole idea. Whatever you're going to say is going to be inputted into like a notebook or some kind of Word doc in order for you guys to share, and then eventually you guys will cut things out that you guys both like, and then you guys will take out things that you guys don't like. And then on the bottom it says, if all the parties are on the same page, things tend to get done faster. So what I've noticed so far, and also through my research, is that if a group is getting along together and they all think alike, things get done really quick because nobody's arguing with each other, and the argument usually leads to time consuming. And conflict. Conflict tends to happen because, as I stated before, different perspectives from different members. And also, when you're in a group, the first thing that people notice about you is how you appear or what you guys say. So colleagues tend to make quick judgments on people based on how they dress, look, and their tone of voice, how they speak. If they talk angry, nobody wants to listen to them because you're very angry. And then if you talk very, very low tone, then nobody wants to listen to you because nobody can hear you. So, that continuing. So, you're able, for good teamwork, you're able to read the group's body language and tell whether they like each other or not. Because, so, if you can tell that somebody is really having fun in your group, you guys know that you guys worked well together. So it was all social contrast, not just work, work, work. Rihanna.
Work.
Yeah, and then for conflict, on one of my research papers, I read a little bit, and it says that conflict can add value to your group or even destroy it. So one way that it can add to your group is with so many different perspectives, you are able to look through those perspectives and see why they think that, but that's only if you are open-minded enough to do it. Because if not, then it can literally destroy the group because you guys start clashing and it kills up time, and then everybody in the group gets all mad and angry and nobody wants to work with each other. And that is not good. Yeah, next slide. What makes for great team dynamics? We got Stephen Curry. So what makes great team dynamics? So in a group, you have to have a leader. Somebody that will, I guess, keep the group on task. So the reason why I say this is because looking through many of my articles, it says that a leader plays a key role. Not just that, because if you don't have a leader and everybody's just okay with just, okay, you're not going to argue this, you're not going to argue that, and you guys will never ever be on task because you guys don't know what you guys fully want yet. You guys have to have a leader in order to say, oh yeah, this sounds good, that sounds good, and we should do this, and they are also the facilitator in the class. That's why I have Stephen Curry. So facilitator is basically somebody that shares a bunch of information. So he's the one that's going to sit down in the middle and listen to each person and incorporate their ideas and write it down. So he's going to mediate and try to help solve the problem. Based on, so the two different group members are having a problem with each other, he's going to be the person to step in, talk to each one of them about it, and hopefully come up with a solution in order to help the group succeed. So I have done interdependence. So one person does make a difference. So a leader does make a difference. So how to resolve it? I have a bunch of bullet points, but the first one is be open-minded. Create the environment. Do not just allow it to be work, because if it's just work, it's going to be very boring and people are just going to feel like it's just business. And after this group project, you guys are not going to talk anymore. Try and keep it a social contrast and continue to talk with each other throughout the whole thing and help each other out. Number 3, don't be too quick to judge. Appearance, even if somebody appears a certain way, the way they think, or they might even bring in extra material for the group. They can bring a lot of different things for the group. They don't just have to be able to speak. They can probably do a lot of the research. They can probably talk public speaking a lot better. Okay, so the next one is stop it before it gets out of hand. So try to stop conflict before it gets out of hand, because when it does get out of hand, it's pretty hard to solve because you guys don't know where to start. So solution video.
What is it about conflict that makes it so difficult to deal with, and how come good people can turn into such monsters in the face of conflict? The most common way of dealing with conflict is to avoid it. Some people walk away, others get really upset, wind themselves up and attack, and others just get sick or go on stress leave. In fact, it's amazing what people will do in order to avoid conflict and the emotional stress that comes with it. There is a very clever saying that goes like this: denial is not a river in Egypt. Denial is, however, one of the most common problems when it comes to resolving conflict. When confronted with a tense or difficult conflict, too many people smooth it over, bury their head in the sand, and the conflict goes on for another 1, 2, or 3 weeks, months, or even years in some cases. I want to introduce you to a definition of conflict and then give you a pathway for the resolution of conflict. Before I do, I want to say this. For some people, even the word conflict means warfare, dead bodies and blood on the streets, and it's very common for women and men to see anything less than that as not being in conflict at all. So this is a definition that starts at a very low level, because most conflict starts out as very small upsets and builds and grows into a full-scale battle. So here's the definition. Conflict exists when one person has a need of another and that need is not being met. Now, don't be fooled by the simplicity of this definition. The resolution of conflict starts from here, and the first step is to express the need. The second step is to find out if the need can or cannot be met. If the need can be met, then we have resolution. If it's a no, then we negotiate to resolve the conflict, or we go into the management of conflict. So here's the problem. Most people go straight from having an unmet need into the management of conflict, bypassing step 1 and step 2 because they are afraid and don't talk to the people who can do something about it. And that's not pretty. In fact, it gets quite ugly. So here's what the management of conflict looks like. Sulking, withdrawing, getting sick, the silent treatment, backstabbing, gossiping, shouting, blocking, being aggressive, and getting angry. So the resolution of conflict starts with expressing your unmet need and then finding out if your unmet need can or cannot be met. If your conflict has escalated to the stage where it's too tough or sensitive or difficult to handle, then you really need to think seriously about involving a neutral third party to help you mediate the dispute, and we can help you out with that. For more information, please call me, Jeff Muir, on 1300 555 635 or download the
So after that, I looked up an article by Jessica Parker written by the U.S. News, and it says that she has a couple of tips that she wanted to give us, and it also followed along that video. So tackle the issue before both parties have calmed down. After both parties have calmed down. So what she's trying to say is, in the heat of the moment, nobody's going to listen to each other, especially because they're very biased and they think that their idea is correct and they don't want to listen to you. Number 2 is maintain a positive outlook. So try and look towards the future. So try and always think positive. Practice active listening. I know it sounds really easy, but for active listening, if you're going to listen to somebody's going to end up trusting you a lot more because they know that you're actually listening to you, and they know that you're writing down their ideas, and that builds trust, and that creates a better group. Continue. Ask the other person to suggest a solution. So I know this sounds like compromising, but as long as you can find a way in order to help the group succeed and move forward, I feel like this is a great way to do it. Number 5, seek first to understand. You should listen to understand. You shouldn't listen to speak and come back with other answers. You should just listen, take in the information, and then respond. You shouldn't just listen and respond right away. Number 6, acknowledge others. So it goes along with active listening. You should just acknowledge their ideas. So if one person is taking all the credit of all of your work, you should, after it's all done, just come up to him and talk to him real quick, one-on-one, in a good setting, not just in front of everybody, because that puts him on blast. And finally, be introspective. Conflict can eventually help you in the future. So whatever you have learned through past conflicts can eventually help you fix those mistakes, and you can learn from those mistakes in the future and know that you shouldn't do this because it leads to this. Thank you. And my next part of my presentation is something called World's Cafe. It's a little group segment where I'm gonna ask you guys questions on a little poster paper, and you guys are gonna write down ideas. And then I'm gonna try and hopefully facilitate that and hopefully get your ideas and write them down. And then at the end, I will show everybody what you said. All right, let's do it. All right, Tom, you want to turn off my TV? Or I'm gonna have to bring it down. I'm just gonna put this on. All I need is this part now, and we're done. Press another button. No, we're gonna record this thing and we're done.
Good.
Yeah, so we good. Cool. So my first question is, how do you guys deal with conflict in a group? So I have a couple markers here for you guys that you guys can use and just write it down. So, yeah. So right here, you write it down right here. So how do you deal with conflict in a group? How do you guys deal with conflict in a group?
I avoid it.
You avoid it. So how come you avoid it?
Because I don't want to deal with it.
Okay. So does that solve anything though?
Yeah, does not solve anything, but it gets you away from the conflict.
Okay.
So it solves your headache.
Okay, got it. Okay, so write that down. So just write down avoid conflict. Alright, and then Christopher, what do you think?
I try to collaborate and come up with ideas that both groups are satisfied with.
Okay, that's good. That's really good. So that's basically coming up, collaborating. That's very good. Okay, and then for my final question I have, do you think that any of these solutions will help you in the future? If so, which one would you use?
Yeah, it would help me, so then I could have I could gain more trust with my group and become more involved.
For sure. Yeah.
Yes, I think collaborating will help me in the future because it allows you to talk to other people and create resolution instead of just running away from the problem.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys. Hold on. I forgot.